Now let's move on to the AFC East preview. We did the NFC East last week, or last episode. This week we're doing the AFC East. And do you guys mind if I start it off?
There you go.
Let's go.
So I started off with, I don't think we're going to have many arguments about the last place team in the NFC, or AFC East, which I have the Miami Dolphins. I have them at 2-15. At their schedule, I was looking at their schedule. They have a pretty tough schedule. They have to play teams like the Patriots twice, the Buffalo Bills twice, the Seahawks, the 49ers. They have a pretty tough schedule. And I don't see them beating any teams other than I have them winning against the Jaguars, who are putrid, to say the least, and the Bengals, who aren't going to be much better than the Jaguars.
Yeah, the Dolphins, I also have them in last place. I have them a little better, and just because I think Tua is going to be a significant improvement from where they were last year with, I guess, like Josh Rosen and Fitzpatrick. But I think defensively, they're also not as bad as people say. Their secondary is okay. Probably the best part of that team being like kind of average, but the Dolphins don't really have too much to offer, and no one's expecting much of them. Like I say with a lot of teams, it's just a rebuilding phase. We all know that they're not going to be good this year, but I think they have a lot of pieces that in a few years they're going to be a pretty good team again. And I say this with, the last episode, I was talking about the Giants and Redskins. I think the Dolphins are a team with even more pieces and draft picks possibly, and just a young talent that can develop. They're just not there yet. I like the direction they could be heading in, though.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree. It's going to be really interesting to see Tua's rookie year, if he can stay healthy and if he can produce things that, we don't know if that's going to happen. But he does produce. I still think this team is not destined for anything too good. I have him at 3-13, so Stem, you had him at 4 wins, right?
Yeah, 4 wins.
So yeah, right in between you two guys, I have them at 3 wins. They have a really tough schedule. They're in a good division with the Bills and the Patriots, especially now that the Bills are. So that's why I have them here at 3 wins. But let's go on to our third place team. Who wants to go first?
I can go.
All right, go ahead.
I think we'll all have the same team here, and I have the New York Jets. And some people, because at the end of the year, the Jets were a team that kind of got hot. And
they finished strong.
They started
off 0-6, right?
They did, and then they finish off with a 7-9 record, and I actually think that's really bad for them because they're not a good team. I mean, just look around; they have probably the worst defense in the NFL.
You mean really good for them?
You
mean really good for them?
Going 7-9?
Yeah.
No, I think it's bad. I just think.
You think it's bad? Wait, you think it's bad for them?
Just so draft-wise.
Draft-wise. I thought you meant like expectation-wise.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think 7-9. Them going 7-9 last year was just not good because I think a lot of Jets fans and maybe they think they're a good team now, but they have Jamal Adams. He goes away. Goodbye, and their defense is horrible. There's nothing to offer that on the defensive side, and offensively, the reason I have him above the Dolphins is honestly Le'Veon Bell. I know he had an off year last year, but I don't think he's going to be back to where he was in Pittsburgh, but he'll still be good. I think Le'Veon Bell will still put up good numbers next year, better than last. And Sam Darnold is going to be slightly better than he was last year if he stays healthy, which we know last year he had mono, which was just a whole predicament for the Jets. But I think their offense is actually slightly improved, even with the loss of Robbie Anderson. But their defense is so bad that their record's going down. I think when they got hot at the end of last year, it was a bit of a fluke. And I think the Dolphins actually have a brighter future than the Jets do. That's why I say 7-9 was tough. The only thing I will say, the Jamal Adams trade does give him, 2 first-round draft picks for the future? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. He got 2 first rounds and I think a third. Might be wrong on that.
Yeah, I mean, so the Jets, the talent they have now, I don't think it's better than what the Dolphins have for the future, but they do have some draft picks. This year, 5-11 is what I have. for the Dolphins. Or Jets, excuse me.
You mean Jets?
Yeah.
Jets.
Or do you want to go next, or should I go next?
Yeah. I'll go next.
I'm saving the best for last then.
Yeah, save the best for last. So I agree with you, Sammy. I mean, I think they're going to be, what they did last year was kind of fluky. I will agree with you there. When they got off to, when they ended the season really, really hot. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that streak going into this season. I have them at 6-10, so because you got them at 5 wins, I have them at 6. I think Sam Darnold, he's probably going to be a little bit better. But this defense is atrocious, especially now that they lost Jamal Adams. They not only lose their star safety, but they also lose a leader on that team of that defense. And when you lose a player like that, that's going to have some bad effects. And I think we're going to see that this year. You mentioned a really, really interesting point, how the Dolphins have a brighter future than the Jets. And I'll have to agree with you there. I mean, if Tua can – live up to his expectations and, stay healthy and be a really good quarterback, then they definitely do, because they have more young talent. I think they definitely have a brighter future, and it wouldn't surprise me if they made some off-season moves this upcoming off-season next year.
They definitely have a lot of cap room.
Yeah, they have a lot of cap room. That's true. And they might be better than the Jets come the next season. And that wouldn't surprise me because, this Dolphins team is really building from the ground up, and they have a really, really bright future. Jack, did you have the Jets here?
Yeah, so I think the Jets defense, the one thing, Sammy, you said they were horrible. I think this season they're going to be horrible with their two best players, Jamal Adams leaving and then C.J. Mosley opting out.
Yep.
I think in the future, they're definitely going to have a bunch of good draft picks to build on.
Absolutely.
Sam Darnold is a really young quarterback who I think is going to have a very bright future, maybe brighter than – I think he's definitely more of – he has a higher floor than Tua does, I would say. But, yeah, and I would say that Greg Williams, who is the Jets' defensive coordinator, is the best defensive coordinator in football, hands down. So I think that he could make some stuff happen. But I don't think the Jets are going to do well this year just because of the fact that C.J. Mosley is opting out. I don't like Adam Gase as their head coach. I have them at 4 wins, going 4-12. I think you guys really recapped it, but I do think the Jets have a brighter future than the Dolphins. I think it's completely unfair to say that the Dolphins have a brighter future than the Jets.
Really?
Yeah. I think outside of Tua and Devontae Parker, the Dolphins don't have much going on.
I mean, their secondary has, some really nice pieces, young pieces too, and they've been able to smartly build around it these past few years. And I just think,
but
in terms of management, I think the Dolphins are doing a much better job of rebuilding because the Jets haven't been a good team in a long time, and then they go sign Le'Veon Bell for a crap ton of money.
But that was the old. It didn't make sense. That was the old management. Joe Douglas is the new GM, and I really trust Joe Douglas. I think he's a very good GM. I think what he did with Jamal Adams to get, even though they might not be high first-round picks because it's the Seahawks, to get 2 first-round picks for a guy who had no trade value whatsoever because everybody knew that he wanted out of New York for the sole reason that he was lazy and didn't want to take time. He wanted to play for a winner this instant. But I really trust Joe Douglas. I think next season, the Jets are going to have 3 first-round picks. One is going to be high. The other 2 are probably going to be lower. But still, 3 first-round picks. I think the Jets are going to have a very good chance in the next couple of years of becoming a good team.
Well, I think it's going to be dependent on them really hitting on those draft picks. And if they do, you're right, they could be a really good team in the coming years. But let's go on now to our second place spot. And I think this will be where we might disagree. I'll start us off. I have the Patriots here. They signed Cam Newton, who I think is going to be good, but he's not going to be as good as he used to be. He's not going to be back to that MVP Cam Newton that we know. The reason that I have this team in second place, winning 9 games, is because this defense is absolutely incredible. It's a really, really good defense. You obviously have Bill Belichick. So for those reasons, I give them 9 wins. If they had a few more weapons on the offensive side, I probably would give them more. But just because they have a lackluster offense, even with Cam Newton, that's why I have him here at second, below the Bills at 9 wins.
Well,
Sammy, I smell some disagreement.
I think Sammy
yes,
disagrees with this.
I disagree, and I have the Bills in second place. And I guess Jack, do you have the Patriots or Bills in first?
I have the Patriots in second place. I
Okay.
agree with my boy Ori on this one.
I'll let you go first, and then we can kind of.
Okay, yeah. So you know my saying, never doubt Bill Belichick. Well, I am breaking the cardinal rule. I am doubting Bill Belichick, not for the reason that I think the Patriots are not going to be good. I have the Patriots winning 10 games at 10-6. I think the Patriots are going to be very good, but I just looked through their schedule, and I think I had the Patriots beating the Bills twice, but I still think that the Bills are going to have a better record just based on their schedule.
That's funny. I have the
Yeah.
Bills beating the Patriots twice, I believe.
Well, that's actually kind of hilarious.
That's kind of weird, but yeah.
I think their defense is going to be spectacular. I don't think anyone is doubting that. But I think Cam Newton is a big question mark. I think we don't know what he's going to be, And I think I can't really trust a quarterback who is coming off a pretty big injury, who is coming off a pretty lackluster season. So, I could be completely wrong on this, but it's just how I feel.
Well, I am going to have to disagree. And I think it comes down to the fact that the Patriots have the building blocks of a good football team. Like, the offensive line is top 10, maybe even top 5 in football. The secondary, even losing some players to opt-outs, is one of the best in football, top 10, top 5. Their defense is probably, up there 2 or 3 all around. They have maybe not the flashy pieces, They don't have, the weapons like some of these other teams have, like the Bills have. And they don't have – Cam Newton's a question mark, like you said. But I think when it comes down to being a good football team, we're going to see at the Patriots that it comes down to the fundamentals. It comes down to having good coaching, good play calling, which Belichick obviously has done his whole career. It comes down to that. It comes down to having the good O-line, super important, and a good defense. And if you have those pieces – all Cam Newton and his, these pieces that surround him have to do is be adequate. Cam Newton just has to hit those short throws, and he has to, maybe on occasion find get some deep throws in. I don't think he's going to have to do anything incredible for this team to be good. I'm with 11 wins, 11-5. I think they're a better team than the Bills, and I don't not like the Bills. Don't get me. I love the Bills still. My wording is a little tricky today, but my beef with them is yeah. I don't really have too much beef with the Bills. It's just the Patriots, I think, have those fundamental pieces of a football team down better than the Bills do. The Bills have some of the more flashy pieces. Josh Allen probably has one of the best arms in the game. I love him. Don't get me wrong. And then they have, their secondary is obviously incredible. Tre'Davious White. They add Josh Norman, Micah Hyde. Really good stuff from that secondary. And then they have the great receiving core. They add Stephon Diggs. They still have John Brown. And they still have Cole Beasley. They have some of those.
Do you think it's fair to say they have the best secondary in football?
I think when healthy, the Patriots do, actually. I think not yet. I think they're up there, though. They're up there.
Their cornerback, Josh Norman, is a good cornerback. And I think that
he had an off year last year.
Yeah, he had an off year last year, but I think Tre'Davious White, one of the best. I think he's a top 3 cornerback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, it's not like I have beef with the Bills. I am winning 10 games. I really like a lot of the things they're doing. Sean McDermott, who they just extended yesterday, he's one of the bright young coaches in this game. I really love him, but I think the Patriots can't be slept on, even when losing Brady. This is still a good team. I don't think Brady has done anything spectacular these past few years. He's just been solid, consistent, which is what I think Newton can be a little bit of that. And that's all they're going to need because all the other fundamental pieces are there for the Patriots. And Bill Belichick, like Jack always says, and for some reason he's going against this, never doubt Bill Belichick. I'm not doubting Bill Belichick. And if he fails me this year, then I'll maybe start casting some doubt. But this Patriots team is still a good team, even without Brady, even without Gronk, who they did lose 2 years ago, but he's coming back. But their defense is incredible. Their O-line is great. The weapons aren't necessarily incredible, but you might not need that when you have those fundamental pieces down.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I have the Bills winning 10 games. So, they're only one game above the Patriots in my prediction. I think what sets them apart is the pieces on the offensive side that I think the Patriots are just not going to be able to overcome. But I still have them winning 9 games. And, the reason being is they're only going to have to score like 21 points to win. This defense is so good that I'd be confident for them to win every game they score 20, maybe not every game, but most games that they score 21 points or more. But that kind of does it for our predictions, right? Does anyone want to say any?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the Bills and Patriots are two teams that definitely could win this division. I'm not like saying the Bills have no chance or whatever. I think it depends on what you value. It depends if you value, the more, like I said, the fundamental parts of a football team, like the O-line, defense, secondary, some of the more not as flashy pieces, or if you value, your quarterback, your wide receivers. And I think it just depends because
Sammy,
different teams are different.
Sammy, I know what you just said is correct, but you phrased it a little bit off. You said value your or maybe you value your quarterback or the flashier pieces. Do you think you can win without having a good quarterback?
Yeah.
I don't think there's been maybe 2 different times in the history of football that a team has won a Super Bowl without an above-average quarterback.
I'm not saying that the Patriots are winning the Super Bowl. I'm saying they're winning their division. And teams have won their division without a good quarterback in the past.
But it is very rare. It is very rare.
I mean, I know I say this a lot, but the Bears a few years ago, Mitch Trubisky was nothing special. All they're going to need is
understatement about being nothing special.
But Cam Newton doesn't need to be that great. This Patriots team.
No, I mean I know.
I think all around is better than that Bears team. I mean, and I'm winning 11 games, which isn't anything crazy. That Bears team with a horrible Trubisky quarterback won 12. I mean,
right.
I don't.
A team can ride on the backs of the defense.
I guess that's fair.
I mean, we've seen the Ravens. The Ravens won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, who, yes, was fringe elite in some cases back then. But
back then he was fringe. He was fringe elite back then.
He was fringe elite, but they won the Super Bowl. I know,
but I mean, he was.
And that's
he was
something that
elite.
the Patriots can do. That's something that they can do.
But I think that a lot of it does depend on Cam Newton, whether he's going to have a good season, whether he's going to have a bad season, whether he's going to be hot, whether he's going to be cold. And that is a perfect segue to our next segment, which is hot and cold.